Hello everyone, this is Dan Perruzzi here with Changing the Questions, bringing you an episode of Booking a Better Wrestler, the show where we take a wrestler on WWE's roster and book them as optimally as we think they can be booked in the future. Today's subject of conversation was somebody we received a request for. The request was not from me, despite popular opinion probably. That wrestler is the awesome one, the A-lister, The Miz. So we're talking about The Miz and how we can properly book him going forward. Let's just kind of recap where he's at right now in the company. The Miz has for a long time been a mid-carder, usually feuding with various people, a lot of times for the Intercontinental Championship. He's had a handful of reigns over the last few years. Right now, I consider his current status lost in the mid-card. He doesn't exactly have a set feud. He was kind of caught up in the Y2 AJ stuff. But now after this last episode of Raw, we see that Jericho versus Styles will probably be the WrestleMania match. So no real room for Miz there unless he just hosts Miz TVs and gets in the way. But this is booking a better wrestler, not booking a mediocre thing. So I don't think it's the best thing for him right now. So he's kind of lost in mid-card and he doesn't have a feud right now. So I think the best thing for him in the short term, starting next week or SmackDown or whenever, develop a feud with somebody. A feud is better than no feud. A WrestleMania match is better than no WrestleMania match. I would like to see him. He's obviously not going to mix it up for the Intercontinental Championship, as that's probably going to be Owens and Zayn. As you know, that'll be a great program. I mentioned Jericho and Styles are doing their thing. A lot of other mid-carders are already tied up. Roman Reigns is doing his thing. Ambrose is now at the top of the card, or closer to it. He's going to have Lesnar to deal with. Wyatt has his own bunch of problems, and that's a heel thing that you probably won't see WWE do. I would like to see him get in a feud, but I don't think there's really a place, honestly, for him. I think they have. It's kind of too short to get any meaningful build, and plus they're going to have this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal as they always do. So there isn't really. I want to see him in a feud. I know I just said I'd like to see him in a feud, but I don't know if there is one specifically that he has. So I guess for the next month or so, he'll just kind of host Miz TV, do what he's been doing. But would like to start seeing him get some wins in a row, so he has something to build for after Mania. So maybe he has a couple of matches against R-Truth and Goldust, teasing their Golden Truth thing. You can mention the fact that Awesome Truth was a thing, and you can kind of build something off of that. It's not where I want to see him, but it's a place where he can pick up some wins, maybe gain some momentum. Maybe he picks off some members of the Social Outcasts. He's had this thing lately about not liking being interrupted. Maybe the Social Outcasts come and interrupt him, and that's a thing, and they go at it for a week or two. Something to do where he's at least wrestling, he's somewhat relevant, picks up some wins, starts gaining some momentum. So really, honestly, the stuff with The Miz and being properly booked going forward is going to start after WrestleMania. It's a month away, but he'll be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He'll do some stuff there. He'll get eliminated. It won't be as memorable as the Mizdow stuff was a couple years ago, but he'll have a place in it, and there'll be stuff to be done. So we can see him, let him get some wins, let him build some momentum. After WrestleMania, the day after WrestleMania, Miz TV, and he has an episode of it where he brings on somebody, probably somebody that just lost at WrestleMania. So they've just ended their feud, and he has a less than stellar interview with that person. They don't see eye to eye. Your typical WWE superstar hosted talk show. They get into a yelling match, they fight, whatever. Now we have a feud. Now we have Miz actually feuding with somebody, and he goes over in that feud. So that'll be the next level. I don't know exactly who that superstar would be. If you have an idea, put it in the comments below. We can get talking about it, trying to figure out who exactly would fit that role. It will kind of depend on what happens at WrestleMania, who's available, who's not. Maybe AJ Styles, but again, I don't think that's the right place. Some wrestler who's just kind of, maybe it's a Ziggler. You know, Ziggler's kind of been the the whipping boy to get people over. Maybe Ziggler interrupts or something like that, interrupts Miz at some point and just doesn't like Miz's attitude about things, and they have a short program and the Miz goes over. The point here is that the Miz is going over after a short program with somebody to further build upon that momentum. He notched a bunch of wins before Mania. He wins with a feud. And during this time, he starts developing, not really developing because he already has it, but he calls upon more of that in-your-face style, less of the cowardly, less of the stuff, more, I'm the Miz, I deserve this. I've worked my butt off for this for my entire life. I'm the A-lister. I bring in, movies. I've done 46,000 Marine movies. The Miz, I'm the person you should be building around, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make the assumption right now that Shane somehow wins against Undertaker at Mania, so Shane's running Raw. So now a couple months after Mania, month and a half, 2 months after WrestleMania, The Miz starts talking to Shane, saying, hey, listen, you said that you were going to give people who didn't have an opportunity. I haven't had an opportunity in a long time. I'm a former WrestleMania main eventer. I'm a former champion. I should be the one who is your guy. I should be the company guy. Look at this face. Look at the moneymaker. All this stuff. All the typical Miz stuff. And Shane at first kind of blows him off and is like, we'll see, whatever. The Miz keeps getting in his face over a couple of weeks. So finally Shane's like, all right, if you think you deserve a shot, I'll give you a chance to prove yourself to me. Here's a series of matches against these guys. If you can win these matches, I'll give you a chance to earn your way to a title shot or something of that nature. So the Miz says, all right, and Shane McMahon puts him in a series of matches against whoever it is. It could be, League of Nations wouldn't be a thing because I'm assuming for this entire thing that Miz is a heel. He's going to need to go against a handful of faces. So whatever group of faces just kind of isn't doing anything at that time too, he has a series of matches against this group. Maybe it's Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, or it's something like, well, Roman will probably be the champion still. It's a group of faces that are upper mid-carders. Maybe it's Ziggler, and it's this person, and it's that person. And Miz, over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, has a handful of matches against these guys on Raw and or SmackDown. And Miz wins all of them, but not all clean. He maybe grabs the tights on a roll-up, uses the rope, does a thing, relies on outside interference from somebody else that whoever he's wrestling is feuding with. So we kind of get the point that the Miz is willing to do whatever it takes by hook or crook. He's going to win these matches. So after 2 or 3 weeks, we have this series of matches, and the Miz says, hey, listen, I just beat everybody. Shane says, I don't know about that. You cheated to win. You relied on other people's distractions. You took advantage of opportunities, but you didn't earn the win yourself. The Miz then says, hey, listen, I still won the matches. I did whatever it took to win the matches. If anybody should understand that, it should be you. He can call upon Shane jumping off Jumbotrons and doing the coast-to-coast and all the stuff Shane had done in his career, throwing his body on the line, doing whatever it takes to win a match and to put on a good show. The Miz says, listen, even though it wasn't that, I'm still doing everything that I can do to win these matches. I've done everything I can do to do what you told me to do. And if it wasn't the most wholesome way to do it, so be it. I still won the matches. I did what you asked me to do. I deserve a shot. So Shane says, all right, that makes sense. That appeals to me, whatever else. You get an opportunity to face whoever it is. I don't think it'll be a Lesnar because that might be a bit unrealistic, but whoever the main face is. Maybe he just gets a match against Roman Reigns, and if you can beat Roman Reigns, you can get a shot at his title. I'm also assuming that Reigns wins the title and maintains it for a while. So Miz gets a non-title match against Roman Reigns. If he wins it, he's probably getting a title shot. It may not be very clearly stated. And now we have to reach. The Miz is going to reach deep into his bag of tricks. That was way more complicated than it should have been to say. The Miz, when he was at his height before, had a buddy who helped him achieve a lot of things. That buddy is Alex Riley. If you watch NXT, I'm already getting thumbs down from Paul in the other room. You know that when things go awry on NXT, the fans go awry themselves. He's already a solidified heel. People don't like to see him. He was the annoying sidekick to The Miz back then. It worked. It made sense. And we know the WWE likes to, reach back into their bag of tricks a lot. They just brought Shane McMahon back. All the things they do is somewhat of a rehash of what they used to do. The majority of the things anyways. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they bring back Alex Riley. Maybe he scores a couple of wins at NXT, gets a little run of his own. And now during this match with Reigns, The Miz uses Alex Riley to a distraction, whatever, scores a victory. Ref gets distracted, whatever happens. Alex Riley's back. The announcer is, Miz and Alex Riley again. This is how he achieved the success he did with his buddy at his side and all this stuff. So now we got Alex Riley back on Raw. That's going to make all the internet wrestling fans so joyed. I say that with the utmost sarcasm, as Paul attempts not to yell at me from the other room still. So we have a way. I mean, this is the point. Miz is a heel. Alex Riley is a heel. They're meant to make the crowd hate them and boo them. And that will very, very successfully achieve that goal. The other part of this will probably be a little bit after SummerSlam at this point now. I will assume that Reigns holds the WWE title through SummerSlam, defends against whoever. One of the pay-per-views after this, The Miz gets his shot. Whatever, I don't remember exactly what the pay-per-views are after SummerSlam. I don't keep track of the revolving door of names that WWE puts on those lesser pay-per-views. But he gets a title shot. Again, Alex Riley interference. He gets the win. Miz isn't here as a long-term champion. He's more of a transitional champion because coming back from injury at some point is going to be Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins, when he comes back from the injury, I believe is going to get a giant babyface reaction. He left as a heel, but fans enjoy watching him work. He's going to come back. There's going to be some kind of static with Shane, assuming, again, that Shane is in charge of Raw. Seth proves himself. He's going to be too popular not to be a heel, and I think WWE will know that. So he's going to get another title shot, and maybe he appeals to Shane in some way, and then Seth Rollins, a month or two after The Miz gets the championship from Reigns, takes it and defeats The Miz. So The Miz gets one more run, kind of reliving his glory days. The Miz has been a solid ambassador for the WWE for a long time. He does a lot of the charity work and talks and does all these things. And outside of the ring, does a great job for WWE. He's getting older and nearer to the end of his career with each passing year. So it would be nice to see one more little title reign, one more callback to the days of back when he was on top, and a little bit of a bit more, what's the word for it? I don't want to say realistic, but a little more well-earned than a lot of the bad taste surrounding The Rock and the Mania match and all that type of stuff, and he only beat Cena because of The Rock. Maybe it's a way for him to kind of shed that stigma a little bit. Yeah, he's still leaning on Alex Riley, but all bad guys do bad guy things to get a title. So after SummerSlam, wins, holds it for a couple months. Seth Rollins comes back, gets a match. Seth Rollins beats him. And then you get to see whatever else happens. The Miz blows off Alex Riley or whatever. They just go at it. And then The Miz kind of slowly simmers back into the mid-card and resumes the role he's in right now as kind of an enhancement talent. A lot of these people, when they score victories over The Miz, it's, this person just scored a victory over a former WrestleMania main eventer and world champion. Now, he'd be in a role where he was more recently a champion, so it's a little bit more of a boost to the people. He can start putting over some of the newer wrestlers, and that's a way to kind of help elevate the mid-card. He gets to the top, wins, has some success, and then when he gets back into the mid-card, he can help bring some other names up. So The Miz gets another title reign, adds credibility to the mid-card. Miz gets a title reign, so I'm happy, everyone's happy, and there you go. I think that is the way that we can best book The Miz from now going out until a bit past SummerSlam. He would lose it before Survivor Series, just kind of an intermediate championship reign in between a couple of faces who are going to be with the company for a long, long time as they continue to do their thing. So that will be all for me today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Booking a Better Wrestler. I would like to remind you of our schedule of shows. On Mondays, we have Changing the Questions. On Tuesdays, we have Time Warp. On Wednesdays, we have Booking a Better Wrestler. On Thursdays, changing the questions again. I had to think about that for a second. And Friday, that video game that I love to say. TEW, not 3EW. I don't know why I think the T stands for a 3. Maybe someday I'll figure it out. If you're listening on Facebook, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Anywhere else you're listening to, if you've enjoyed it, give us feedback. Let us know. Leave a comment. Leave an idea for who you want to see better booked in the future. And above all, thank you for listening. My name is Dan Perruzzi. This has been Booking a Better Wrestler. Until next time, go Miz.